Okay, so today is unexpectedly my first YouTube stream ever because my Twitch account just won't work. Some bugs happening like where it's saying whatever, your browser is invalid, and I tried on both my computers and I tried on my phone and I tried, a million different browsers, so for some reason that's just fucked up. So this would be a good excuse to make an exodus and start streaming on YouTube because it doesn't really matter to me one way or another. But I'm just not used to this, and I'll try it again tomorrow, obviously, for my regular Twitch stream, but it's like it breaks my tradition because I like to stream every single day and never miss a day. Just whatever, because I'm OCD like that, and when I do it, I like to really commit to it. So you really think my streak is going to be broken by the fact that, in like 2 years, I've streamed every day? Kind of. I mean, I missed it because I fell asleep one day, but that's always my fault. But you think I'm going to miss it because of some stupid bug on there? So yeah, this is my first time ever doing it on YouTube, and generally I'm somebody who always made fun of YouTube because like, oh, why would I post content there? And it's like nobody knows who I am anyway, so why would they watch it and things like that. But then I realized, like, in doing this, that's the whole point. Like, over the last year, I've actually started to upload regularly, and it actually did pretty well. Like, I've gotten 300 subs, whatever, for what that's worth. But what I didn't realize is, yeah, that makes sense. Like, if you stream every day, why would you want to upload it to YouTube? Or that's like too much work and too much time. But that's going to be there forever, whereas your streams are just gone in like a week or 2 weeks, even if people watch the VOD. So it does have a certain permanence that I underestimated how helpful that can actually be. And so here I'm doing my whatever Wednesday format. Like, I have to do an intro for the YouTube part just because that's so random, but I guess it doesn't really matter one way or another. Or the one thing that's interesting about it is that Twitch, like on Twitch, I was up by like a couple hundred viewers in the count, right? Like, or I mean, followers. Like, I was at 200 followers when I started to upload to YouTube, and YouTube was at like 3 subscribers because I just didn't use it. And then that caught all the way up to show you sort of the power of that. Like, I got to 300 there, and now I'm still at 300 on Twitch. So in a way, maybe that would entice you to think like, oh, YouTube's better, but I don't really care. And like, even if Twitch wants to ban me, like, let's say, oh, you're not allowed to stream on some other platform, right? Which, I don't know, for some reason I thought there was some rule like that, but maybe there's not, because like, I'm whatever, maybe it's some affiliate agreement, but like, I wouldn't really care because whatever, go ahead and ban me then, because like, you almost just fucked up my streak, and like, why should I have to worry about that or deal with this? So yeah, this is my whatever Wednesday format, which has become more like my Webcam Wednesday format, just because the last couple I've been enticed to do this. So this would be like my fifth webcam stream. Of course, I don't do face cam because I don't believe in the whole cult of personality element, but I am going to do something a little bit unique here. I'll try to solve a Rubik's cube, and this is what I was talking about when I was doing the other one. So like, let's recap which ones I've done so far. The first one I did chess, which was just to show like, okay, I'm playing chess over the board for the first time in 10 plus years, even though it's only with myself. So that was like not last Tuesday, maybe before last Tuesday. So I did the one chess episode like that. Then I did another one on Wednesday just to, follow that up, just so I could get a longer session out of it. Then the next Tuesday I did it again. So every Tuesday I'd still use this setup just for being able to play chess over the board and show it like that, but I'm still playing online, obviously, too. And so the point is, it's good for chess. Then I did a Kindle Scribe stream on the next Wednesday, and then I also did it on Saturday just to try it out, basically show that off. So you can see that in the background there. So we're almost going to decorate the setup to make it like, oh, we got, I'm not even going to use it necessarily unless I finish the Rubik's Cube early. But like, we have the scribe to show that. We have, this is like one element that I wanted to introduce here, is like, you can show all these little things. See, as much as you don't want to show face cam, because I don't feel like, what does that have to do with anything? And I've always hated that sort of culture behind it, like this whole React content, IRL streaming, even though I'm kind of doing exactly that right now. The fact of the matter is, you could show like, oh, look what you're drinking, and what you're, during chess I could have like a stress ball and like all these little props to when I'm getting pissed, and when I make a blunder I could use that, all these little gimmicks and things. Like, you can show stuff in real life. So like, let me show what I'm drinking. This will be my first drunk stream too. This is some like limited edition thing, mint Baileys that you can only get like around St. Patrick's Day. So I just got it there just for the heck of it. I don't really like to drink much or whatever, but it's just, I do like the flavor mint a lot. So this is a whole idiosyncrasy, cult of personality element here. Like, it's one of my favorite flavors of ice cream. I love mint chocolate chip, but not so much peppermint. Or I guess I do in the sense of candies like York or like Junior Mints and stuff like that. But yeah, just for the sake of whatever the gimmick, just to show this off, it's almost like you should use a clear cup. You can do it. So no, I'm not encouraging anybody to drink. I'm gonna get banned right away for this, and I don't even ever really like to myself, but just for the fuck of it, you know. And the way these things work now in this day and age is it's more like, there's so much sugar in these things. That's what would fucking kill you before the alcohol ever does. So that's the whole irony of it. Like the old school way would be like, oh no, you want to drink the strongest alcohol, even if it tastes like shit, just to get drunk. And then now today, it's like, oh no, there's all these kind of cutesy flavors and all this weird stuff. So if you want to do that, you can just do just drink some juice or some fruity flavor in the first place. You don't have to do it like that, right? Where it's like kind of an identity confused thing. If you want to drink for the sake of drinking, then just do it, right? To get drunk. Otherwise, if you want to drink something that tastes good, then just drink something that tastes good. So not only would I not encourage people to do it, I would almost mock the idea and say, fuck it, it's actually a terrible idea. Never do it. Don't drink, don't smoke. Like, why do people even bother, waste their money? But whatever. Just for the gimmick of it, we can, again, this is the whole cult of personality element that we talk about. Like, this is clearly, people get so personally invested in things. That's what I find so annoying, right? Like whether it be, I won't name any particular streamers, but this whole IRL streaming category has always been annoying to me that way, because it feels like what doesn't have to do with anything, right? The person's real life stuff or idiosyncrasies or whatever, personal preferences, all these things that have nothing to do with anything. So we can start off by doing an unboxing element for it. I was almost just not even going to do anything because I was so triggered by that not working. I was trying to get it to work for like an hour. Yeah, we'll do like an unboxing element here. The only problem with this is the angle is a little bit difficult for me because of where my table and mic and everything is. So like, even as I'm unboxing, I don't know how to sit like this because you won't be able to necessarily see it. I could do it like at this angle maybe, I don't know. So the first thing you'll notice about this, though, is the fact that it says like, oh, Coach Cube or whatever, which made it difficult for me to even find the thing because, see, the real difficulty with this is now all the people who would want, if I do commit and switch over to doing this, on YouTube, is it would be hard to get all the people to know that, like from Twitch, right? That I'm doing that. Like how I'll advertise on my Twitch that like go to my YouTube because Twitch sucks and it just doesn't work. But it says Coach Cube, and this is why, like, I was looking in the aisle for it in Walmart. Like, oh, I just want to find like an old school Rubik's Cube, and I couldn't even find it. So this shows you the culture of like modern day. Everything is like easy mode, and everybody wants their hands held and advice and everything like that. So I'm not going to use that mechanic of it, where like there's the numbers and it tells you to look up a video that'll help you try to solve it. But you can't even have the purity of trying to solve a fucking Rubik's Cube like you would as a kid. You would struggle with it. You would have it in school or whatever and fuck around with it when you're bored. And I did solve at least once, I'm pretty sure, but it's not like I was especially great at it, or it was pretty hard. But the point is that, yes, there's all these easy answers and stuff, but that's the whole half the fun and half the challenge. So the purity of even trying to do something like that is tainted in this day and age because everybody wants their hand held through everything. So we're not going to use that, but yeah, I couldn't even find it because I was looking like, oh no, I don't want this one that's going to be like hand holding. I just want the regular one, but I guess it was the only form of it that they had. And it even shows you like somewhere a difficulty scale. Like if you look at the top of it, somehow, yeah, like it's not very difficult, but that must be including and accounting for the fact. This is actually going to be hard for me to do in terms of the angle. I guess I can keep showing it like at a, whatever. So you do this and you open the fucking thing. We may as well do an unboxing element on it. Solve in 8 steps. Well, it's going to take me a lot more than that. Peel to reveal method. I don't even want to read any of this because that might spoil how to actually do it. Yeah, that is what comes about in a lot of my actual playthroughs of games. Like when I'm playing a game for the first time, I'll want to, like Path of Exile triggered so many people. They want me to like do all these things, and it's like sometimes it's a choice, right? Like you want to just do it more organically. Like whatever I feel like doing, I'll just do. And it doesn't matter. Like why, it's not a speed run. You're not trying to do everything the optimal way the first time. So this is getting a little bit difficult as it is. Lost to the unboxing portion. So it's taped up there. I don't care if the box really gets fucked up, but hang on. Yeah, but see, there's always these moments like where I have to pull it away because my setup is not exactly great. I don't even have anything that this thing really stands on. This is quite a. I was not expecting this to have to be doing it in a different setup altogether. So the thing that's gonna make me nervous is like how I'm gonna download the VODs after the fact, because I'm just used to doing that on Twitch. I'm sure it won't be that big of a deal, but it's just something you're gonna have to get used to. I'm acting like I'm gonna have to do this from now on because I don't know what exactly fucked up. You just you're just opening it like this. Nothing really special going on with it. Not really super exciting from the unboxing portion. So I don't know if it shows like the fact that you went live to all your subscribers on YouTube, because then that'll keep annoying them because of how often I do it. I even say that on Twitch that you should turn off that notification for someone like me, because if I go live every single day. So it's not like, oh, once a week, catch me on this episode or something. You do it every day just because that's how your schedule is, or that's how you like to stream, on a routine. So that would just get annoying, even if you do like to watch them, right? You probably only want to watch one category or one day or whenever you feel like. So that can definitely get like a spamming thing. But let's see. So it's right there, and I'll take off the numbers immediately if I could just look how big of a fucking box they have for this. Like, why do you even need that when all that was in there is the center? It just went like, this webcam is not exactly the greatest. But no, it's good to show the box there too in the background, I guess. And we go here. Yeah, let's peel this shit off, and then we'll actually try to do it. I'll totally be cheating off stream and I'm going to ignore the numbers. So as you see it right now, right, there's all the numbers on there that would probably help you figure it out in a way that I'm not going to do, because I'd rather, the whole fun is the challenge of trying to do it. So you peel them off. This is what's going to bother me. I wish I could show it, but it's hard for me to, or I can't even do it like with my gloves. So I'll peel them partially, and then I'll peel them the rest of the way on there. But I guess I can just keep showing it occasionally. The point of stuff like this is it's basically a just chatting environment anyway, but at least you're doing something, and that becomes the focal point. You have all these visual gimmicks and, little things I can show off. Or that's the one thing I almost would have wanted to try. As much as I don't like the face cam aspect, I would like to maybe have tried like a VTuber element. That has some merit to it, because you can at least like create your own character, and it can have like all these other cool effects and things like that. Like Code Miko would do that. Other whatever, I'm sure other people do it. Lua Asuka has a pretty good avatar. So here we peeled off one portion. Of course, we do the whole little glove thing too, role playing as Damon Gann or some shit, if you want to say. So here we would have the. Here we would have. Let me try to fix my position a little bit, because this is very tricky to do. Try to get as close to that as possible. Camera's getting all fucked up. This is very difficult to do, or at least I have a very awkward positioning here. Yeah, we can go ahead and peel this shit off, if you can even see that. So we take off one. I'm trying to make it like almost an ASMR thing, which is what I sometimes was accused of being almost inadvertently, just because of my quiet voice disposition. So we're revealing the red. Or wait a second, is it already going to have been solved though? That's fucking bullshit. What? So no, it shouldn't be like that. That would mean you would have to just fuck it up first. Like shuffling a deck of cards. You just have to do it randomly. That's the whole point. So then how would you even be able to guarantee? Oh yeah, what a great system. It teaches you how to solve it by having it literally already be solved. So there's nothing for you to even do with it. Just literally peel out the stickers and you're done. What a great sense of satisfaction that is. It's not about the journey, it's about the experience. Or I mean, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Now I'm peeling off these things here. Yes, each of these sides are already done for you, which makes no sense why they would do it like that. I guess we'll see it completed and then work our way backwards from it, or I already kind of fucked around with it a little bit to the extent of whatever, just moving the things around, so it should mess it up. Yeah, this is the whole fun of it too, is it'll, no matter what strategy you might have for it, although it might work in almost all situations, Like we're literally seeing people like they want to metagame a Rubik's cube. This is how much you're in this mindset of, I don't know, just not enjoying the experience of actually going through it. Like, sure, there might be a technique for it, but you don't want to know that. The whole fun of most things is that once you know how to do something, then it's just a matter of, repetition or just execution. So, that's less fun than simply trying to figure it out in the first place. Or like that's the implication that almost gives that people want to like speed run something the first time that they do it. So like we're revealing part of it here. I guess this is the best way for me to do it in this state. I can't show it the whole time, but I'll keep showing it as I go through it. And we'll try to understand the methodology that I come up with in the process. Yeah, I certainly wasn't like any kind of prodigy or expert at doing this, but it is still a fun aspect here. So I'm watching my stream in my chat on my phone like how I would normally do as far as the YouTube thing is concerned. I guess I don't feel too bad about this because I would just have to live with the fact that at least we have a backup option because I'm not going to just like not stream. But that did piss me off a lot. Like, why just randomly would it just not work in some inexplicable way that is just completely nonsensical? But no, you can like keep resetting this so that you would have like a variety of positions, almost like chess 960, right? How many potential starting positions are there for the Rubik's Cube, or it would all be different? So even if you have a strategy that might work in one scenario, it won't work in another. But again, probably whatever strategy you have is going to account for that variation a little bit. We're going to solve a Rubik's Cube, and then it's going to be completely, like a solved game. So therefore, it's going to be completely worthless, and nobody's going to ever want to play it again because this is how people look at it. Like with, oh, if checkers is solved by an engine or something, which it technically is, or it's solved in the sense that, or not checkers, or no, yeah, like it's solved for a draw. But like even if chess is solved like by the engine, that doesn't mean that people can play like that, like where every game is a draw or every game is a win. If you're starting as white, I guess, effectively. Right, it could be solved at the human level, like nobody's ever going to be able to beat it that way. So like it's solved for that purpose. So we've uncovered a few sides so far. Right, and so we're just doing this as a base starting position for now. We can obviously we can obviously deal with it later. This I did have to actually take my glove off on the one hand for, though, because I can't actually peel these off otherwise. You can kind of hear it, but I can't really always show it at this stage, which is fine for now. But once we get into actually solving it, maybe I can do it a little bit. But yeah, this positioning is so scuffed, it's even hard to kind of explain, but I guess it's fine. And it has the website on there that definitely wasn't there as a kid, where it says like Rubik's Cube again. But there are so many fun things you could potentially do with this sort of setup that I've never really done this before. The idea, like one of those murder mystery sets that they give you where you're trying to solve it. I remember seeing the ads for that, or looking at one of those, like it's a whole like kit where you solve like I think they're kind of expensive though, but you solve something like that. Or this would be obviously fun too with another person, like, oh, you could do it in a, like play an actual board game or something. But there's a lot of things you can do like this way, like just solve like a puzzle, a physical puzzle that you just put out there. All the effort that people go through to have the same experience that you could easily have a million times over on a computer. And some people do it even in that vein, like, oh yeah, let's get off the computer and do some physical activity like this, right, in person, that you totally couldn't just simulate the same way anyway. So you're not really doing something that oh no, there's one side missing. Or no, there's two more that still need to be done. For fuck's sake. Okay, so this peeling will take basically the whole episode, which is fine with me. That is really triggering though. And it might be, I don't see why it would really be different in terms of quality or anything, but the bitrate seems to be fine. The only reason why the quality might look bad here is just on the basis of the actual, what do you call it? We take a sip. We can, again, the stress ball almost seems like a funny idea. So you can do like real life emotes instead of having emotes like you can do a peace sign and thumbs up. Who needs emotes when you can just do it like this? So I finally found the solution for that. I'm so lazy to make too lazy to make emotes. I can just do them manually here. All these kind of dumb gimmick things you can do to take advantage of this sort of setup. That's what ASMR sort of represents too, is like anything, but and not even that I'm bashing it per se, but anything can become a form of content. It's like a person flipping through pages in a book, or a person, just reading something, or just talking, or just doing the most innocuous thing, eating food, like mukbang ASMR. Like, in other words, any random thing you do, kind of similar to the stimuli acme, where any random thing you can do can have emphasis placed on it, like even if it's just an ordinary normal thing you would do in everyday life, like typing sounds, just that you could just listen to somebody typing on the keyboard and wow, that'll get a million views. Or like, there's some like no talking ASMR where they just like move a light around or do something random like that. I'm not questioning that, oh, people can get their little tingles from it, or whatever you want to call it, that it can be still positive for you that way, but it just feels so random and arbitrary. And like, GB ASMR is one big channel, and like she has a video like she's just whatever, like I'm just ignoring you the whole time, and it has like a million views. So like, wow. Or like she's just reading a book, or she's just holding a light and not even saying anything, just literally doing some repetitive, basic, monotonous activity. And it's like, at what point did we get to where it is like even a state below the Truman Show, like where it's not even a reality TV thing where they're going about their everyday life, is that they're self-aware and just like, let me do some mundane activity without even any effort, and that's going to get an incredible amount of viewership, whether it be because of the person doing it, because people like them or they are familiar with them somehow, or it could be, there was another prop I wanted to show off too. We can have a whole fucking assembly line of props that, like, I'll just leave them on the table just for show, right? It's just a decorative piece, or I might use it at some point, or I'll use it in some other stream. But, we're not necessarily using it now, but just to kind of take advantage of this visual element here. Okay, so we're almost done taking all these off. Yeah, speaking of the whole emote thing, I'll show that in a second. Hang on. Okay, here's like another prompt that we could use as like an emote or something of the sort. It's an old school vintage pocket watch, which a lot of people associate with hypnosis, I guess, like swinging it back and forth and stuff like that. So there's this like stupid phrase that people sometimes use, which I don't even know exactly what it means. Like, oh, you're pocket watching, like in a debate. I've heard like Hassan say to people like that, you're pocket watching. So if somebody's doing that, whatever it means, like you're saying something that is just like a phrase that gets everybody to agree with you, just like a buzzword or some kind of a whatever, something like that. But just with my whole psychological fixation and ideation with how big I am into psychology and how much I, even have discussed fetishes and done a seminar and stuff like that in the past, that's almost a joke I would recurringly make. Like, I have a hypnosis fetish, or I have a psychology fetish, or something like that. So it is kind of an interesting, overlap. So we would have this as a prop as well. We can put it somewhere like that, just to show like, okay, that shows you my interest in psychology, even though it's not necessarily directly tied to that. It is still worth considering. So now let's actually try to do this, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to show this in a proper way. It was easier with the chessboard because you would just occasionally like make a move and then whatever. Like, I cannot even do a proper Rubik's Cube fucking stream without having some issues. So let's see. Because it's just hard to see it like as you're doing it, but whatever. I'll keep showing it. So let me first try to randomize the position of it as much as possible. You can see it like from the shadow. This is scuffed in more senses than one because I wasn't expecting to have to do it in a different form altogether. But no, we're going to reset it to the point where even if it was solved at the beginning, which is kind of dumb, we're going to randomize as much as possible. But then people will say, oh, haha, you still got help by the random nature of it because, or how it was a preset condition. Like, you want it to be, or what might be almost as difficult is to unsolve it all the way. Like where every single side is a different color, meaning like they're all You know what I mean? Like all as different colored as possible, which is pretty hard to do in itself. Because even as I'm trying to randomize it, like, okay, now we'll try to go back to this position we had, there are already some colors that are overlapping too much. Like, oh, there's 4 yellows here. Like, there's too much of an imbalance where that almost might give you an advantage somehow to be able to basically do this. So, I don't know when I should really start. Like, okay, we can start doing it now and just try to come up with some sort of meta strategy for this. Let's see. I mean, I can just do it and then show you the finished result, but then it seems like I'm cheating. It's very hard to do this physically because I don't know. I guess I could do it with one hand and show it a little bit easier like that. Um, yeah, my whole thing would be like I would try to probably do it in a way that might not be good because you would try to get like all of one color at a time on one side, but you don't really want to do that. You probably want to get like one row. I don't even know actually. It would be very tricky to figure out like what sort of, and then like is this a free space? I forget how this even is supposed to work. That's supposed to be white and connect with the white squares, I assume, not like actually it's a free square that would count as any color to sort of give you a bailout. It must just be white, but they put their little fucking logo and the website and stuff on there. So we're looking through this, and I honestly would just kind of fucking flail around with it. Should be some sort of permanent challenge. If I don't complete it in one try, I have to, or in today's episode, I have to delete my Twitch account. Oh wait, they basically already fucking did that for me. You know, oh look how good this is. It gives you like a psychological feedback that is kind of negative. Like, oh, you know, we get to have so many red there, so that's good. But you don't want to think like that in the early game because you know you want to think about some bigger picture thing. So I don't know how exactly. I would just honestly sort of fuck around and flail around with it. Because, okay, here you have two red, two of that. It is hard to really think like what you would be trying to do. And I'm trying not to, you know, I tried not to look at that thing too much. Like it might help me, the stupid little box for it and everything like that. So let me think. Or you could try to do it like you could try to work around and okay, one side is complete and then you know work around everything else, but I don't know. Anything can be metagame to the point where like it doesn't seem like a big deal anymore. Like, oh, anybody could do it then, which is why I find that so frustrating in chess. It's like you're supposed to, you know, you're supposed to be impressed by like opening theory and all these kind of dumb things, but it's not really that impressive once you realize that that's what it comes down to. Like, oh, you just do what you're supposed to do on rails and just copy what everybody else is doing. Which again, there's a net sum amount where it's too much. Like where you'd effectively be. That is one thing I've never done before either. Is a fucking drunk stream, but we can combine the two. My first YouTube stream and my first drunk stream. But no, I wouldn't drink anywhere near enough for that. You would think that's almost the sort of thing they wouldn't allow you to do because it seems like, you know, you're encouraging like what if somebody really overdoes it, or it just seems to set like a bad precedent. But I guess you can't stop somebody from simply doing that, or you wouldn't even necessarily know in some cases, right? Like it's just they could be drinking anything, and then if it, you know, they won't explicitly say what it is. I'm almost not even sure. It's kind of less fun than I expected because I really can't show it too well. So let me just try to come up with some theory here. So we're trying to get at least one side filled out here with one color. But again, that's almost the wrong way to do it because it's going to be so difficult to actually do this. Because what you got is the ability to... You have the ability to fuck around with this. This is almost a good physical challenge too, to try to do it with one hand. The hardest part to move with just one hand is the middle because, you know, some of this is going to be, I don't know. Like we have it here. There's like some Rubik's Cube expert, probably Guinness World Record, can solve it the fastest from any position ever, you know, some crazy achievement like that people get obsessed over stuff like this, they could probably look at any position and tell you the optimal way to do it from that point. Like, imagine studying a Rubik's Cube as much as people study chess or other things. It's like there would be a lot of depth and meta to it, even if it seems like, oh, what's the point? Because all you have to do is solve it. But it seems like, what's the point with a lot of things like that? Because, you know, who really cares? If you really care that much about anything, it can seem impressive because, sure, it is impressive still because other people could try to do the same thing and they won't do it as well. But in this case, it's like, what do you call it? It's like not everybody's gonna put that same amount of effort, so it almost doesn't feel like it matters then at that point. Let me see. This is pretty irritating. I can't figure out any sort of rhyme or reason to it. I am just kind of the random type. Right, so you would be trying to align at least one side together. You at least get the ASMR sounds of it, but again, the positioning is kind of irritating me. Man fidgets with the Rubik's Cube. Like, you're not really missing much, I guess, but... Let me see. I don't even have a stand for my webcam, so it's like it's on a little box, so I can't really... I don't know, it's hard to explain. I can't really put my arm there. You have 3 white on this one. What would be the thing? Like, there's no way I would do that. Or I could do it after, where I look at like what their suggested thing is. So obviously I'm not using the mechanic that you see there in the background. I think you can even still see like solve quicker with stickers. Like, what's the point? A simplified process for learning the Rubik's Cube. Like, imagine even making that as a product. You made a game that's hard enough where you feel like, oh, now you have to make a guide for people to do, but like, then what's the point? They would do that and then they would try to memorize it and show off, like, oh, haha, look at me. And why is it even ages 8+? Like, what, a 6 or 5-year-old can't handle this game? It's too intense for them? Or they'll try to eat it and choke on it or something, but not really even. It's way too big for that. I don't even get it. Yeah, this game is more complex than chess. It's a 9x9 board instead of an 8x8. But it's not really a 9x3 or a 3x3, but whatever. It's a little deceptive how simple you might think it is. Okay, let's try to mess around with it a little bit. Or I guess if I don't talk, maybe I could do it at this angle because my mic is in such a position that, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with all these different ways to account for this. Okay, so this is good. So if you come up with like 3 rows of different colors, right? So you got 2, or no, that's not even true though. You think you could just flail around with it for a certain amount of time and eventually you would get it. But the problem with that is you're not necessarily going to get it because, or it would just take forever. I can't really say what my strategy even is right now. Or we'll just keep getting it farther and farther away from actually doing it. But this is an interesting excuse at least to test this platform too, just because I don't know how that's going to work. And it'll turn out that I'll actually end up losing a lot of subscribers because they'll forget. That's often what happens actually with like even big channels. Like, they'll have millions of subscribers, but those people don't watch them on a regular basis. So it's like, you'll actually end up pissing people off because it's like, oh, I don't want to be spammed with notifications every day that you're doing this or whatever. And so then they'll reassess or reconsider it. But no, it's not like a huge deal either way. Yes, something like chess or a puzzle is maybe a little easier because you're kind of making the move and then showing what's there. I guess I'm making a move. Like, let's do a couple things and show what we're doing and how exciting this actually is. It always shows you that too. Like, you can almost copy some big streamer and what they do in like an IRL context, and then you would wonder like, who the fuck would want to watch this? Or if some small streamer with 5 viewers or 1 viewer does it, it's like, why the fuck would anybody want to watch this? Meanwhile, if XQC or somebody does it, now all of a sudden everybody does. So it's almost like It's not about what you're doing, it's about who's doing it. You could do the same exact thing, say the same exact thing, right? And it's just like for some reason they're familiar with somebody, so the process isn't sound behind it. Whereas there could be something where it is sound, like okay, Hikaru is playing chess at a high level, so therefore people want to watch it because of that, and then everything else comes secondary, right? So I always use him as a example of meritocracy to the extent that you can. Or yeah, what I love is people could call this into question, like you could be cheating off screen when you're not showing it, and then that's why you're actually able to do it. But it's not like I'm making any meaningful amount of progress either. I'm almost not even as motivated to try to do this, but I mean I am just kind of flailing around with it. There would be some kind of strategy where you like trying to get the outside first and then you do it in, or you got to think about the base movement of how these things actually work. Like what you're doing is you have to move 3 things at a time, right? And so you have to keep cutting one off. Like you would go, you would move one this way and then you could cut one section off at a time. So you have to think about it like, if you do that enough, just keep alternating them to move like one way and then cut it. Like you cut it across the top, you go like that, and then you can steal away like the blue, right? And then you move the row again, and then you could steal away the other one. Right, but that's never going to get you all the way to what you want either. Let's see. This is a little more tricky than I thought. I didn't say I was necessarily going to complete it here in one shot, but I mean, this is kind of meant to be that kind of thing. Like, let me just flail the fuck around with it and see what happens. You could just hear the sound of it at least. Yeah, this has become sort of a throwaway format where I do weird stuff like this, but this is sort of like I was sort of trying to segue into my next permadeath multiplayer gauntlet series. Like it was going to be Smite, right? But then what happened was I thought, in the middle, in between the last permadeath gauntlet and the next one, I may as well try some other format. Like, okay, I'll do whatever Wednesday again. So like I was doing all these other games I haven't played or hadn't played in a while, so like Genshin Impact or New World or whatever. So like that has a certain legitimacy to it because you're trying to basically. My channel isn't even monetized either, so like because you need like a certain 1,000 subscribers or whatever. So like I don't even know to what extent that would affect the streaming element of it. It's like at least I am an affiliate on Twitch, or maybe I won't be anymore because they'll ban me, and I don't even know how that works. Like you're not allowed to stream on YouTube, even though a lot of the big streamers do that, or they multi-stream even at the same time. So I don't even know what all the rules are and stuff, but I don't really care. Or what's funny is because since I don't do face cam or anything, you wouldn't even necessarily be able to tell it's me. And so I could just pretend, like I could just make a different channel, different name, and like, oh, this guy, random guy who's also getting 5 viewers or 3 viewers, right, who's a nobody who nobody cares about, like how would they know it's me then at that point, right? So it's almost hard to enforce something when somebody has nothing to lose, because it's like you're kind of a nobody dumb clown anyway, so why would it make any difference? But no, like what would I have to do? I'd have to go and message everybody on my fucking Twitch and tell them that, and it's like I don't know. It's just it would be annoying if I have to do that. I'm more worried about that than I am actually the Rubik's Cube. But let's see. I'm surprised that the biggest challenge was just trying to, like, really, what would you do even if you were Albert Einstein or a genius? You would try to pick apart something that would give you like a pattern to go for. So you're trying to, but whatever you do is going to be super long-winded. It's not like you'll do it in a short span of time. So my whole idea is like the cutting, alternating thing. You do a couple movements and then it's like, okay, like maybe we should try to solve for like one color. So we'll try to get all the white ones on here just to try, right? So like we move this white one over there, then here's like a common problem that you'll run into, right? Pretend like all you're trying to do is solve for white. You have 3 squares there and 1 square here. But then if you look here, there's 1 there. So how would you have to do it? You would have to cut it like this, right? So you cut it across. And so now you have to find a way to fit it back into there, right, without moving something else that would get rid of it. So now, I guess the way you should do this is show like every movement, but it's hard for me to do that. Like you go here, right? Then you still have the white on the top there. They're trying to think, how can you get it in there without disrupting some other part of it, right? Without getting rid of one of the other white ones. And that I'm not entirely sure how to do. So let me see. No matter what you do now, I got that one in there, but then I got rid of the other one. Let me think. But see, that is even the wrong mentality to go with, because you're never going to solve it like that. If you'll solve one color, but then you'll have to fuck it up and move it around as soon as you try to do another one. You have to like concurrently be doing like so many things at once, like where you try to get around the outsides or something like that. Yeah, I like all these little gimmicks and props we can have. This shows my psychology interest. This shows my writing background, how I always would do writing streams, which even to this day, that's one category that isn't like a thing. I don't know if there even is officially like a writing category on Twitch or whatever, but as far as like just doing a writing stream outright or something, yeah, it works with OBS pretty well for what that's worth, at least, which you would think it should. Some of these sites are infamously bad at that. Like Kick, you have to go do all these kind of workarounds or whatever. It's not integrated as well, which is not necessarily OBS's fault, but it's probably Kick's fault. Which I don't know how well that's actually doing now over time. We can show this, like what we're drinking. If we were eating something, we could show that. We could show a water bottle, like just all this kind of stuff that makes it about something that has nothing to do with what you're doing. Distract from what you're doing as much as possible, because what you're doing is garbage anyway. Or, you know, that's the power of it, that you realize with cult of personality, IRL type stuff. You realize that, like, oh, somebody goes from doing something really impressive, maybe even at the beginning, right? Like somebody like Hikaru, to use that example again, he works his whole life. He becomes a 2800 rated FIDE player, one of the best chess players of all time. And so that validates, oh wow, people want to watch him or see what he's doing because of that. And then it turns from that to, oh, now he's reacting to funny videos on YouTube or Reddit posts or something like that. And I'm not saying he's doing that ahead of playing chess, but think about how much easier that is. Oh, he can always just do that, react to Reddit posts and do, that doesn't take effort. But what he had to do to get attention in the first place, that's really hard to do or hard to replicate, right? So imagine you're subverting that need. Instead of doing something really hard and really notable and really, one of a kind that would garner attention and justify it, you're instead just doing something arbitrary and throwaway, kind of like this. Instead of doing a world's first hard mode permadeath clear or something like that, like I could still theoretically do, you are instead doing something kind of garbage. So I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, though. I don't really have like a great plan for it. That's the thing. You have to at least have some idea of what you're trying to do. But maybe this is just an introduction to it. We could do it next Wednesday, or we could do it somehow. I don't know. I should always give it a fair shake, because I didn't really have anything else I was planning to do. Or I could use the scribe to write out and cheat and like write notes of how I think I could come up with like my own strategy with the numbers and all that. But just the fact that they would put the numbers on there obviously would just mean they would keep telling you, move this row then and move. But it doesn't even make sense, because they started off with it already solved, right? When we peeled everything off, everything was already the same color on one side. So it wouldn't even have done anything or changed anything that way. Or yeah, not like this would save me time uploading to YouTube because my stream's already there. But that actually makes it confusing. If I do it that way, what sense does that make? Because I guess it would show up in like a different category, but then it feels stupid. Like I'm re-uploading my whole thing, right? Like an episode of chess or something that I'm doing. I'm uploading it anyway, even though I just did it. Because like I don't know how long they stay up there and stuff like that. Okay, let me see if I can not figure this out. it is just inevitable that you would eventually get it. But if you keep doing random shit, it's not going to get you anywhere. Like you almost want to keep going around the outside, because if you keep going around the outside, you can, or that's the whole irony of it. The best way to solve it probably is to keep the colors as far away from each other as possible and then bring them together later, like at the end. If you try to bring them together now, it's going to only fuck it up when you are forced to move other ones, right? Yeah, this is what we're doing instead of playing Smite, which I did say was going to be my next permanent series, like where I multiplayer series, which I was doing on Wednesday before, like where you go through every single hero in the game until you lose, and then you have to move on to the next one. And then when you run out, whether because you've exhausted every single one in the game or whether you just can't afford them with the free to play in game currency or free to play rotation ones that they give you, which I really abuse the shit out of in Paladins, then you have to end the playthrough because, and that's also fun to do like in a first time playing a game format, like you're playing some new multiplayer game, but you could do it like that where you just go through every character. So it gives you the variety of characters, but it also gives you the capability to it'll encourage you to play a variety of characters, but it'll also encourage you to play really well with them and try to get them to last as long as you possibly can. Yeah, I can't tell whether that's a positive or a negative that you would have like, let's see, if we want to put them all on the outside here. Yeah, now I'll keep trying to come up with different little gimmicks we can do for this, which I would only really do this sort of thing once a week. But then on Tuesday, I use it for the chessboard anyway, which I just didn't do this week because I wanted to do rapid, right? Because I wanted to show off the permadeath P set gauntlet thing that I'm doing, the permadeath P set round robin. But so like that's hard to do because I do that in rapid more so and on the chess. And the problem with that, well, I'm doing everything on the chess, but except for I'm doing that little bot permanent challenge where I try to go through every bot on chess.com until I lose to one, which I wonder, will it be Alex Botes? My criticism comes full circle of the whole cult of personality thing, but she's still much better than me, which really doesn't mean anything because obviously she's played more just on stream alone that I have in my whole life, let alone what she did before that to get to, the ratings that she was at. She was impressive as a child player because she was, he was in perfect position to maybe improve at a vast rate, but then she never did because she's the same rating now as she was at like 11 or whatever, younger maybe. Okay, I don't really feel like I'm getting anywhere with this, but I'm trying to mess around with it a little bit. The whole idea of trying to solve, like, I should always do that just for the spectacle of it. Like, let me see what it would look like if I just solve one section. If I just get everything on one side for one color, and then you work off of it that way. Yeah, we'll make it like a fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll make it a 6-part episode. I had to even count the sides. That's how dumb I am. Where every episode we get one side fixed. Do it like the Obra Dinn. See, that's one of those playthroughs too that people would get pissed about. The Obra Dinn is like, oh, you suck so bad. And like, everything's obvious, and we would have figured this out in 5 minutes. But genuinely, I don't know how many people would have actually played that game blind. And that's kind of a double-edged sword of this modern era of gaming, where things can be like that, where, especially like open world games, not that that's what that is at all, but you would do it in such a way that, nobody would actually play it blind because it feels so overwhelming, or like an MMO or something like that. But the problem is that you're basically in a position where you would feel like you have to do it, you have to look stuff up, and that sort of ruins it. So then people act like, oh, it's so obvious and it's so easy because they resigned themselves in the first place that, oh, it's so hard, I could never figure it out, and there's too much and it's overwhelming and it would take forever. And so therefore I'm going to look it up instead. And so if I decide, okay, I'm going to look it up, then now I'm going to act in hindsight bias, like, oh, it's so obvious and easy and anybody could do it. But the only reason why you're doing that is because you looked it up in the first place, because you couldn't have figured it out, or because you didn't want to take the time to potentially do it. You're kind of missing the whole point. Like, anything can be easy once you know exactly how to do it. Like, this one's a pretty good green set. So now how would you finish the green? If it's this hard to do just one side, though, I would have to wonder how insanely difficult it would be to look at that shake. We can do a little earthquake effect. Pretend like we're having an earthquake. I guess this was a little more awkward to do though than I thought, because I wonder what would be the average amount of time it would take to solve this, especially if you've like never done it before. Or that's the best way to test it. Like go to there's some YouTube channels that do that. Like having people in a foreign country in like a village try like American food or American candy or something for the first time. And so the way of doing that is just to do it this way. Like, no matter how much hindsight bias you have with something, oh, haha, it's not hard to figure out. Give this to somebody who's never even seen one before in their whole life and knows nothing about it, and then see how long it would take them to solve it. And the answer would probably be that, it might be a lot more difficult than what you think. And sure, some might do it better than others, but, green is coming along here and red is coming along here. But the problem is that you can't keep doing it without fucking up one of these, right? If you anything you do is gonna mess up all the other ones, so it's very hard to figure out. Like literally, let me just mess around with it a bit, and then I'll pretend like I know what I'm doing if I get somewhere with it. You would almost think that could be a speedrun idea. Just do this, like where you just do random shit, and then eventually you'll get it. So this is kind of shows you maybe why I'm bad at chess. It's like the cynicality and impatience that you get as an adult that maybe you don't have as a kid. Although to be fair, the cynical part maybe is true, but the impatience part I'm not so sure, because you're basically like, kids can be impatient a lot of the time. That's why I'm always so impressed that they can study so well at chess and commit to it that much. Like obviously the exceptional ones who are going to be that good are going to have to be able to do that, but wouldn't you think that's boring, like to study a board game all day every day or something? Okay, hang on. And my biggest objection to this is just it's so hard to show it as you're even doing it, which is the whole intrigue of this. I guess I didn't account for that issue, which is very specific because of the angling and everything of this, which is sometimes difficult even when I was doing it with the chessboard. But the difference with that is it doesn't really matter because it's in a stale static position most of the time. Whereas this one, unless you're really thinking through the moves, like let's try to put some thought or process into it, but I don't really know what it would be. Maybe something to do with the outside. Like you want all the outer ones to be a different color so that they don't get disrupted when you move. Like this, I don't know. It's very hard to come up with like what. There's going to be like one obvious way that you do it. And that's obviously what this thing would tell you if you use the stupid numbers or if you watch the video or whatever. And like we totally bought that, so it would carry us, but I'm not even wanting to use it. But no, really, that was the only one that they had. Like if you want to do it the normal way, just see that shouldn't be how it is. Like if you want to do it the hard mode way, you have to go out of your way to peel that off and to not use what it's intending for you to use. Instead of like if you want to do it the easy way, then you have to look something up and go out of your way that way, which you can do theoretically with anything ever. That's the whole funny thing when even talking about like with chess, every answer to every position is available. You can just look at the engine, you can just look it up, you can just look at some past game or something, right? So it's all there. It's just a matter of could you actually see it or find it for yourself in the course of a game? And the answer to that is actually yes, you could. But the problem is that it would just take you forever. So if it's a correspondence game, you could sit there and go through every single tree of ideas. Just like here, we can go through every single possibility of moves, but it would just take an absolute eternity to do. And often it would just be boring, and that's why people don't like to do it. So here we get to take a look at this. One of these times we'll end up just getting it by sheer accident, but it wouldn't really make sense because you're going to have to get every single side at once, which it's like you won't get any of them at once is the point, right? You don't want to complete one side and then fuck it all up. That's what I keep almost falling for the temptation of doing. Like I want to get one side all of one color, and it's just not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know what the reasonable amount of time expectation would be that you would want to do this in, because it's very unsure. I'll just say that. But yeah, clearly this is more exciting to watch than just nothing, I guess. But I don't know. I really don't have any rhyme or reason to how I'm like trying to do it. Like, okay, here, let's try to solve it for red at least. Right, this could almost be harder, like trying to get, well, not really though, because you'll end up doing the same thing for all of them anyway, but no, like I said, it might even be harder to try to solve it backwards, like trying to get one of every color going the other way, right? Like as much of a diversity of colors as you can. You got yellow, red, like what is missing here? You're missing orange on this one, right? So you want to get orange. So could you get that on every single side without something repeating? If you have yellow, blue, red, white, green, so the only one that you're missing there is orange, right? So if you got uh you put orange instead of the white, you would still have a double of two of them, right? It doesn't seem like it's possible for you to get rid of that. But yeah, like to unsolve it, it might be harder than to actually solve it in the perfect way, right? Where it says spread out as possible, which I don't even know if that would be the most difficult position to solve it from, or how you would even know that. Like we need an engine like we have for chess to calculate like how many we have mate in 50 moves, like we have solve in X number of moves and do it in the most efficient way possible. So it's not just about solving it at that point either. It's about doing it in a very specific, optimal way, which it would be interesting to see that, like a world Guinness Book of World Records style thing where you're able to basically see who can do it faster or something like that. I'm sure people have spent their whole lives doing this, like how they take fucking Tetris or whatever so seriously. Let's see. Not really much rhyme or reason to it, but this is a little bit trickier than I would have expected. Yeah, this is one of those like evergreen timeless things that everybody loved it when you were a kid back in school and stuff, and you would fucking walk around the hallway trying to solve it or whatever. Like it would just be some idle little thing, or people would bring like their Game Boys and stuff on the bus and play it there, and nobody would ever like notice or stop you or anything. Um, Although in school itself, you could never get away with that because then they clearly notice, but yeah, on the bus, nobody would ever see it or even care. Let's see. Or maybe they would see it, but like they're not gonna actually do anything. All right, let's see. But yeah, who's gonna like get in trouble for fucking around with a Rubik's cube, really? That would be like the next addition to the setup that we have to do though, is like a fucking uh like a stress ball. That would be so funny for chess purposes. Okay, let me at least try to solve for like one side. That's all I want. Like, let me get one side of all the same color, which I really can't figure out even how to do that much. Because it's so hard without fucking up another part of it. It's really, really difficult. You would think I would almost do it by accident, but just one color. That's all I want. So I won't even say what that color is gonna be because if I get one by accident that I'm not even trying to do, I'll take it. But I can't seem to figure this out. All right. So let's see. He's like, okay, let's see which one right now currently has the most of the same color. You have 3 red there. Like, let's try to do for red. But the problem is, if you do that, no matter what you do, you're going to lose red as much as you get it. It is very tricky. You bring this here. You have to do it in like a fixed set motion, right? So like you look at it here, there'll be a certain procedure. Like you see these ones on this side, then you see a red one on this side. So now this red one you have to take and move it to another angle so it doesn't get in the way of those, right? So now you have these two on this side and these ones on this side. So what do you have to do? You have to go this way. No. Okay. So we're trying to do it for red, I guess, now. So again, how would you get these to connect without fucking something else up? Yeah, like this is a perfect example. You have the red ones in the middle here, and then you have the red ones on a different angle here. So the middle can come through, and then it won't disrupt the other ones, right? That's perfect. Like, let's at least show this one to go like that. Right, so now you have an excellent number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, how would we get the rest of these? Let's see. Fuck, this would actually take me forever, though. It's kind of part of the fun. You don't want it to be too easy, necessarily. Okay, so you can go here, but then the problem is if you cut it down now, you're going to end up losing one of them there, too. So this is the hard part. How do you work around that every single time where you don't lose one that's already there? Like, for example, this one at the top is very hard to deal with because now this whole row, I guess you would just move it like, you would move it around, but then that fucks up the other one too. And this is not even the way that you would normally want to do it because you're going to be caught between too many different colors. Like, it'll never work if you do it like this. Just because, I don't know. Or like you can always bring these two. So like now there's one red here, but we can bring the 3 red across to it. It's just like, what's the point? Because then, you know, you're not really accomplishing anything. You're just kind of rotating shit around. And that doesn't make it any easier to do this at all. So now that's still 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1, 2, 3 of the red. And then what does that leave me with? It's not really. Honestly, it's very hard to figure out like what the real strategy to it would be. I didn't think I'd be this bad at it. It'd be so obvious once you know how to do it, but I don't really remember. Like even when I did it as a kid, like did I have like a go-to thing, or I think I just fucked around with it for a certain amount of time and then I eventually got it. But even as you're doing that, you have like some sort of subliminal thing that you're doing, like even if you don't know exactly what it is, right? You're getting the hang of it somehow, instinctively. So trying to do the center here. So now the center, this leaves you with 5 left. But the ones that you don't have are in such awkward positions that it could be difficult because you have, you know, how the fuck are you going to do that? First of all, where are the other ones? Okay, there's this one here at the bottom. Then there's this one here. And then there's 2 here. Those 2 would be very difficult to get here. So like there's some multi-step process. Like you would go around and then, well, wherever you cut it, you're gonna lose something. I almost don't even get it. Like, okay, you're here and then you have to rotate it the other way, right? And then let's see what our count is at. You have 3 here, 1 here, 2 there, 1 there. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you have 3 on this side and then 3, I think, on the other one. So this is 3, this is 3, but they're also spread out too, which maybe that can be helpful sometimes too. You don't want them to be too pumped up, otherwise then they'll all move together. Maybe that is part of the strategy. You want them to be as far apart as possible and then you bring them together all at once instead of trying to, have three in a line and then you keep breaking the line over and over. Unironically, that might actually be what you have to do. Split them up as much as you can and then somehow bring them together. You have like 1 and 2 there. You have 1, 2, 3 red there. 1, 2, 3. There's still kind of 2 clumped up though. This is gonna be crazy if you were to actually try to do the whole thing. Like, I wonder really how long you would expect someone to take to do it, because I feel like this could take me all night if I wanted to. And at some point I would just start to randomly fucking do shit and hope that I get it, but that would just take way too long. Okay, so you have 3 there, and then this one can go through in the middle. Like, I bet this is probably the first time anyone's ever done this too. For all the just chatting, like, who has ever done a Rubik's Cube on stream? This is just random shit that people do. At least this gives some justification to doing either a webcam or whatever IRL stuff, like solving a puzzle physically, or what other things did I say? Like one of those murder mystery kit sets that they give you, right? Like you buy a whole thing and it gives you all these clues and you try to figure it out and whatever, something like that. Or again, like a board game. And a lot of those would be more conducive to playing with somebody else in real life too. Or like doing a card pack opening, all these kind of things that open up as a result of doing this. Even if I'm not the type to ever want to do face cam, I would still do it like this if nothing else. So yeah, like, as much as I like Magic the Gathering, the problem with that is like, oh, I could get Magic the Gathering packs and then try to play it that way. Or like, especially the old school stuff, if you can get like really older cards and older packs, the point is it would be a waste then though, because there'd be nobody to play against. I would have to physically find somebody in real life, right, to play. And that would be difficult and it would be kind of a waste then as a result. I know that One Shot Girl always does like Pokemon card pack openings. I always see those. But okay, here, this will be good to get 2 more. Again, you keep getting in the similar spot where it seems like 5 is the magic number that you can always get to, right? With how many things you put on the same side. But at that point, it becomes very difficult. So there's not a single one that you could do that's not going to disrupt that position as it is now. But now we're up 1. So we sacrificed 1 for 2. So now you have 6, right? So even if you were only trying to do just this one thing, how hard could it possibly be? You have to move one that's like, okay, let's look at this, right? You got red in the middle. Now, if you trace around the middle the whole way, right, there's not a single red there. So you can move that one freely without messing up the position of the other ones. But even if you do that, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be able to get it to where you want it. You got to keep an eye on like where the ones are, and then I'm going to get too attached to that and never want to move anything around them, and then that'll hold me back too, because maybe you're supposed to. You can't stay too attached. You have to be able to let them go sometimes. But there's no good opening. See, like you have this, and then you have that. So anything you do to try to put it in there, it's like it can't be in a streak like that. They have to be, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is like as far as we got though, right? I think we typically only have 5 in a one block. So we'll go. Like you want them all, I think I kind of get it now. You want them all like this, right? Like there's 2 there and then there's 2 here. So you can easily put those on the same one if you wanted now, right? Like I could just do it like that. So if you put them on an outer rung like that, like where they're all connected like that, what you can't have is these weird positions like this L shape or something like that. You have to have them all on the outside in groups of 2 or something like that, so that they move together and it's like a little more smooth. like even this is a good positioning because you can always connect it to another two like that, easy, right? So that might be part of what your strategy is. Now, kind of hard to even explain sometimes what you're trying to do, but yeah, see, we have this one on the outside, then we have these three, which maybe three is too many of a commitment still. We have these two, so as we bring these together now, we never want like that one loose one that we keep messing up. So this one's kind of a cursed set, right? They're all too spread out, so nothing you do with that is going to make any sense. Or I guess I was able to connect it to three. So now that three can connect to three. So now at least you have six, but they're in a more preferable position. So that's not bad. So now this might be reasonably feasible to do. Oh, come on. This has got to be it, dude. But it's still, there's going to be still some problem with it. Okay, okay. These two go together. Now that shouldn't have messed up the six because they're always going to be on the same one. You got those two left. It's so close, but so far because there's no. I still don't get this aspect of it. Like you have to rotate it around where you'll still. I can't get them in the same part. And now we go down from six to five, where I wish I could show it the whole time, but that's just beyond my setup capabilities right now, which is fine, I guess. Okay, now you're at seven. So like how much more efficient can you be with this? We're celebrating like getting one color. Like this is actually a big deal because it's really not. So now you got to bring it to you have seven and then you have two here. So what that enables you to do is if you can just get it in the right alignment. Wait, what? Oh, but you can't move it quite like that, otherwise it doesn't line up. Never mind. So now we get these two together, but then we're in a position where the rest of them sort of separate. So now we're here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And then at that point, we're going to try to ingratiate a couple more into here. Or you know what I really liked as a kid was Scrabble. But now that would be hard to do because, again, it would make more sense. I guess I could play it like against myself to see like, still testing my capabilities that way. Like, like I'm trying to beat myself as hard as possible. So in both sense, like you can do that in chess too. Like you can try to play your best possible moves, but it doesn't feel always like as satisfying, obviously, as playing another person. But we got it very close to getting red on all of them, but it's just very difficult to still do this. Whenever you get caught out with like one odd square like this green one here, right? That can be very difficult to fill in. Now, this is a pretty beautiful connected structure, but then it's very difficult to still. Let me see. I don't know. At some point, you just start doing random stuff because I got so close to that being good, but you keep getting these two to connect, right, in different ways. That can always be a good thing because then it's easier to connect those two with other sets of two without somehow it doesn't disrupt it as much. Now we're back to 4. I had it up to like 7, so there must have been something I could do it there where you keep rotating and switching them around where it actually ends up being good. I should always be able to decipher this much in this session. I don't really have the energy after having to deal with all the BS with the Twitch thing. Imagine if this was the reason why I actually switched, because I had no problem with Twitch overall, but at least this gives me a backup because that was pretty unpleasant. You have 2 connected here, and you have it there. So that's 6 as well. Right, so that's not too bad of a position. But then there's that one green one that's going to be very difficult to deal with too. You have 2 on this one. This will give you at least a basic idea. Like if you can figure out how to do it with one color, then you can figure out how to do it with all of them, I guess, because it might be the same general principle. Sometimes it's just instinctive, or it could just be you shotgunning multiple options. Either way, it's like when I come up with theories in like a detective game, I'll be right spectacularly one time, but then the rest of the time I'm making like a million different theories along the way as I go. So it doesn't mean that you're necessarily, your process is always sound. Or what would be funny is if we accidentally did another color, like as we're trying to do this, but it's like the Rubik's Cube is going to get less screen time than just the table because we're not going to actually be able to do this otherwise. That has nothing to do actually with the thing itself. It's not the fault of this. I just didn't realize how awkward this would be. Let's see. Come on, I gotta at least do one element of this here. Like you gotta learn this element. Like, okay, there's a red there and a red there. So like how do we connect them from that position? Do you go like across? Whatever I just did there, which you couldn't even see, I guess, connected those two, even though they're in completely different parts. So now we'll try to connect a 2 with a 2. There's too many loose ones that kind of mess you up over the course of time, where I wonder how much this thing has made in its whole lifespan, and the people who made it, like how much, like the net worth of it would be overall. It might surprise you because it's just such a ubiquitous, universal, evergreen sort of timeless thing that everybody knows what it is just by name and everything. Although for some reason I thought it was spelled with an X. I looked up like Rubix cube instead of whatever. Like when I was looking for where it was or where to buy it. Like what aisle to get it in Walmart. That's not a feature like I've ever used before, but it'll tell you like aisle 11 or something, and so then it makes it much easier to go through and find something like that. Let's see. This whole self checkout thing is an interesting topic to the extent that you have like this whole idea that you'll end up supporting the very process that does away with your job. Like, oh, AI and technology is replacing your job and you get fired and now you're screwed. But you're the same person who wants to self checkout and use that. So you cost somebody else their job that way too. So it's the same process that if you see the bigger picture, you shouldn't use that or support that. And then, you're working against the larger process that could come back to hurt you in the long run that way. So sometimes people don't have that foresight though. Yeah, and we're back to 5 here. I don't know how I got to 7 that one time. I'm doing it in sort of a fluky way that doesn't feel particularly great. Now we're up to 6. Now, how would you go from 6 to 9 in a clear way? And it would be very difficult. But maybe when you get 3 to connect like that, it's easy because no matter where you move it, no, but if you have to split it like down the middle or something, it'll still fuck it up. But if you keep that 3 there no matter what, then you're in good shape too. I'm just not like understanding the core concept of it, I guess, but this is a lot harder than you would think, even just to get one color. But again, this isn't the order you would do it anyway. So what you have here is the ability to, and this makes me look worse than I am because you would see, oh, haha, solve it, the guide thing, but I'm not obviously using that by choice. The whole hard mode element that you try to do and everything that I try to do and everything, I mean. Okay, let's see. Now here we're back to 6. So again, that doesn't mean anything, but if you can just get this aligned in some other way, it would be good. Hard to even explain what my thought process is if I even have one at all. But no, the whole idea of keeping the pairs of 2, maybe even around the outside, can sometimes be good because then it's easier to connect those than it is to deal with like these little split ones, even if there's like, that's not even a good example, but like 2 in vastly different spots. Or again, when you have a hole like that on the top left, that makes it immediately difficult to do because whatever you're going to put there is going to inhibit you in some other way. Come on, bro. Why is this so fucking hard, actually? Just use the guide, just use the numbers, just cheat. Would be probably the thing, but no, this is the whole point of it. Let me see. I didn't say I would necessarily have to do it today, but I didn't think it would be this unproductive. At least I wanted to get one color match just to pretend like that's an accomplishment. Or I like how it even starts off fully solved. It's just start off in some random position, so you can't feel like, because yeah, then even if you're doing it like you're shuffling a deck of cards, so like, oh, but maybe you know exactly how to shuffle it, so maybe I know exactly how to randomize it, where it seems like I'm doing random stuff, but then I know how to trace it back from exactly that position. Like I'm not just doing it randomly. But we've gotten it as high as like 7 in this way to you can turn it into where you do emotes, like I don't want to do the middle finger, then you'll get banned. Like maybe you're not allowed to do that, but you can do all kinds of shit like that. Who needs emotes when you can just do it like this? Green is looking pretty good actually if we wanted to do that. But every time I try to commit to one, it's sort of like fool's gold where you can't really do it. I don't know, it's like you underestimate it, but you just have to get the trick, and I can't quite figure it out. Now, this isn't too bad of a structure, but the one awkward one is probably going to be this yellow, whatever, these two, because something's going to get pushed out, or you can't get too comfortable with these, because no matter what you're doing, you're going to have to ruin what you just did to add anything to it. Right, so it's like, oh yeah, we have 3 in a row, or 6, 2 rows of 3, but that's not really how this works, because like this is good because you have the 2 sets of 2, but and then we have another set of 2 here. I just kind of gave up on red, and I'm trying to do green now for some random reason. That probably was how I did it when I was younger, and I'd probably do it the same way again. I would just randomly move stuff and eventually either sort of understand what I'm doing or just get honestly purely lucky. But I think the likelihood of doing that is pretty low, right? Of just doing it completely, totally randomly. I never said I really understood how I did it or that it was in a reasonable amount of time. Let's see. Or yeah, you could do all those things too, like have a stress ball and have like a fidget spinner and have like a whatever it is, weird toys. People have fidget cubes. I don't know why that was such a big craze for a while there. Like where adults or whatever, it was more mainstream. Like everybody was using fidget spinners. Like this is some little toy for a kid that you would have used back in the day. But now it became like some hyped up thing that everybody was crazy about a few years back. Okay, now we have 5 yellow in here. Let's try to do that. We keep just switching whatever color I'm trying to do. You would think one would just fall in my lap at some point, but it's just not happening. But again, once you understand how to do it with one, you should be invincible because you can just keep replicating that for every color as you go. Fuck. Okay, so you got 5 again, but 1 is kind of like off to the side. Oh my god, dude. But no, everyone would know I always have that sense of honor that I wouldn't look anything up or whatever, cheat, because that's my whole thing is that like I like to do hard modes and make stuff harder for myself. So why would I ever do that? Like even in chess, nobody would ever accuse me of cheating, despite how clearly I'm so good that they almost should. But no, they wouldn't accuse me of cheating because they know I like to make things harder for myself, not easier. So let's see. This would be so much more satisfying if I could just do it and I should show it the whole time, but I just can't. Yeah, maybe next week we'll do a puzzle, but it feels like a shame not to. I guess it's an unrealistic expectation. No matter how good or smart you are, right? You're not necessarily gonna be able to solve it just like that. The core concept of it is not really getting through to me is the problem. You gotta minimize it to like one little thing where you focus on like one square, right? So you have this one orange one. So let me try to get that orange one to connect with the other 2 there, whatever that would take. And then that'll show you sort of like what you need to do. We have like 5 of them here now, or actually 6 of them. So now, can I not just trace back and do, or even this is the same thing. 6, we keep switching one good position for another though, and we never could capitalize all the way. But it seems unlikely that this will ever actually work because, I don't know, whatever you do now is still going to mess up the position. Like this one is pretty perfect. You get 6 in a row, right? So now how would you set the other 3 without messing these up? And it might actually be reasonably doable because, I don't know, they're just so perfectly aligned that it doesn't even matter if you move like the row, right? As long as you keep the row intact. Or again, maybe I'm still doing that like wishful thinking where you can't really do it like this. I think I already fucked it up. Damn it. You keep losing by attrition because no matter what progress you make with a different one, you're going to lose the ones that you already have. You should almost try to avoid these fool's gold type of positions where you get too much of the same. I don't know. You only do it at the end when you're really ready. But no, you should fixate on like one square. Like, let me try to get this one square in this one exact location that I want. So then you understand the full movement pattern of it, I guess, overall. So, for example, what is a good color to do here? Like, okay, there's one yellow missing here. So let me try to get one particular yellow there, exactly. But I don't really understand how to do it. So we did get one yellow there, but then we lost maybe another one in the process. Oh my god, dude. I just want one color. That's literally my win condition. I don't even want to do the whole thing. I didn't necessarily expect to in the whatever amount of time I have, but, or actually I might have had more time, but I had to deal with whatever nonsense of my stream not working. It's so weird too because it'll say like, oh, this browser isn't supported, but then you use every single browser in existence and they're still not supported, and it must just be a bug. And then I try to use my other computer and it does the same thing too. So I couldn't log in on like anything. Even though I just previously had logged in, it just kind of keeps bugging out. Okay, maybe I should give up. Permadeath challenge. I have to delete my Twitch account if I. How fitting. If I can't solve this in one sitting, which I obviously clearly can't. You have 3 in a row here now. Whether they'll stay like that, I can almost guarantee they won't. Like, this is such an awkward positioning where, like, how would you connect these in any way? Okay, this also isn't the optimal thing. But no, I think the 2 around the outside idea could always be good, but it's still difficult to connect them. Like, for example, we have 2 around the outside here and then 2 around the outside there. So those always seem easy enough to connect with each other. Right, so we immediately put those together, but then it's still not the right positioning because there's that one odd red one out. But there's always going to be one like that. We got 4 of the red. My problem here is too, I keep switching colors, even though that might be good to be flexible because you sort of you open the door to whatever. Like if one isn't working, you might end up just getting one inadvertently. Like this isn't too bad. So if you get 2 sets of the 2 like that, but it's I don't understand still how to do it. Like that's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I switch like one set for another, so that doesn't help. And you have literally 2 missing. So this is the impossible part, where I just assuming this is what you're trying to do, right? Even just like one color, like pretend this was your last one and every other one was set. How would you get, or I guess one wouldn't be set, but how would you get that exactly there? Now, everything you do just messes everything else up. I guess is the whole point of it, but it maybe is exemplified when you're only focusing on one color because I don't know, that just makes it even more blatant. I don't know, dude. What the fuck? Let me try a few more times, but this is really hard. Lost to a single color Rubik's Cube. Not that the whole thing is one color, but just an attempt to even get one. Yeah, this too won't reflect badly, like, oh, this must be the YouTube quality. The fact that I can blame that it looks all shitty, but it's just because my webcam is like that. I got like a $20 webcam from Walmart the other time, like a couple weeks back, just so that I could try to start doing this. And I have made a point maybe to do it even a little bit too much, where whatever. The point is, it's an interesting thing to try to do, and I almost just wish I was a little better at it somehow. Okay, see you tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll try to get my Twitch to work.